Morning, or good afternoon. Sorry about that. We'll call the meeting to order. We respectfully acknowledge that the Township of Algonquin Highlands is located on Treaty 20 Michi-Saugig territory and in the traditional territory of the Michi-Saugig and Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations. We also acknowledge a historic shared presence of other Indigenous nations throughout the area, and we recognize these original inhabitants as the stewards of its lands and waters since time immemorial. Can I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda for today? Deputy Mayor Dayu, Councillor Barry.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Dayu, seconded by Councillor Barry. Be it resolved that March 17th, 2025 special meeting agenda be approved as circulated.
All in favor? That's carried. Under Mayor's comments, I would like to make a couple of comments on behalf of Council. I'd like to take a moment to offer our condolences to the Moore family on the loss of Terry's wife, Shirley. Today's meeting is the finalization of the creation of the Green Burial Site at St. Stephen's. And Terry and Shirley formed the Green Burial Society here in Haliburton, and the society partnered with the township to establish the site. Sadly, the fates have determined that Shirley will be the first person to be interred at the site, but I do take some solace in the fact that she will be buried close to her son. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Hearing none, the first item is the cemetery bylaw, and I think we'll hear from our deputy clerk.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Danielson. So before council is the the bylaw that was approved in principle by council. It's been back and forth with the BAO, and we've done some minor, they accept the last changes. The last change that we have, and it's in the draft bylaw, is 8.1 of the Green Burial section. In the legislation for the Funeral Burial Cremation Services Act, it's very defined as how you can arrange and give interment rights as far as plots. So there's two ways that we can do it. It's plot selection or at need. So in the vision of the Green Burial for St. Stephen's, the council's envisioned we fill the first, close it, we beautify it, naturalize it, and go on to the next row. So 8.1 was amended with support of the BAO to allow an at need. And so that would mean we sell the plot at the time an interment needs to happen. This is different from the other areas that we do, other sections in other cemeteries in Algonquin Highlands, but I do think this is the best course to have the vision of a naturalizing section as we go. So 8.1 has been amended to reflect that. It isn't supported by the BAO, and so if council's supportive, we can, I have everything in draft to submit to the BAO for final approval.
Which she said they would be able to provide us tomorrow.
Correct.
Questions? Councillor Barry.
Just in regards to the terminology at need, that means you don't have to, you can still purchase it ahead of time, like if, no. So there would be no, you couldn't buy your plot.
Without site selection? Or
No, like you couldn't pre-pay for a site a year ahead of time. So that's.
If I may. That's correct. So quite often, even now, there are some people that choose to be interred here in our cemeteries that don't have a plot. And so quite often when I'm contacted by the funeral home, they may not have a plot and I will sell a plot. They'll select it. I sell a plot. I arrange the burial. So that process is pretty common. Okay. And so this is different as far as somebody could pre-plan and select a plot right now in our other areas. But I think for the intent of the vision of the green burial, this is the best course. And if we get along and we decide that's not exactly it's not working well, the council, we can revisit, with council support, we can revisit the bylaw and do that process again.
Any other questions? Yeah, I would have had the same question, whether they could say, for instance, they didn't want to leave the cost up to family members or someone else if they wanted to pay for it in advance without site selection. But, you know, I'm good with the way it is right now, if we can change it if need be at some point in time. Well, in that case, could I have a mover and a seconder then to adopt the bylaw to provide for rules and regulations for cemeteries? Deputy Mayor Dayu and Councillor Berry.
And I just have a resolution to receive my verbal report before we adopt the bylaw.
Could I have a mover and a seconder to receive the clerk's report? Councillor Berry, Councillor Richards.
Moved by Councillor Berry, seconded by Councillor Richards. Be it resolved that council receives verbal report regarding the final draft of 2024-64 cemetery bylaw, and further delegates the clerk and/or the CAO to make any further amendments to the bylaw that may be required by the Bereavement Authority of Ontario. And further that council approves the final version. Excuse me. And further that any winter burials conducted in 2025 in the green burial section at St. Stephen's Cemetery be conducted and directed approved by the Public Works Manager. And further that any and all costs associated with the winter burial interments during March and April of 2025 shall be borne by the interment rights holder or family. And finally, that council directs an updated cemetery fee schedule be brought back to include interment costs for winter burial for approval.
All in favor? That's carried. So we have a mover and a seconder for the bylaw itself.
Same mover and seconder.
Yep.
Um,
I think it was
Deputy
Councillor
Mayor.
Berry and Councillor Richards.
For the bylaw? Yeah, okay. 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 Moved by Deputy Mayor Dayu, seconded by Councillor Berry. Be it resolved that the following bylaws be received and read a first time, considered read a second and third, and finally passed with the corporate seal affixed. 2024-64, a bylaw to provide for rules and regulations for Township of Algonquin Highlands cemeteries.
All in favor? That's carried. Could I have a mover and a seconder for the confirmatory bylaw? Deputy Mayor Dayu, Councillor Richards.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Dayu, seconded by Councillor Richards. Be it resolved that bylaw 2025-41, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council held during its March 17, 2025 special meeting, be received and read a first time, considered read a second and third time, and finally passed with the corporate seal affixed.
All in favor? That's carried. And finally, a motion to adjourn. Councillor Berry, Councillor Richards. And thank you all for meeting on short notice.
Moved by Councillor Berry, seconded by Councillor Richards. Be it resolved that the March 17, 2025 special meeting be adjourned at 3:08 p.m.
All in favor? That's carried.